That smell hits you the moment you walk in. Sizzling fat, roasted chicken, smoked bacon. Costco's meat section looks like a carnivore's dream, but behind those gleaming cases lies a playbook of tricks that could drain your wallet and compromise your health. Recent lawsuits, whistleblower reports, and viral customer complaints reveal something most shoppers never suspect. Some of Costco's most popular meats are engineered illusions. What you're about to learn doesn't just save money, it changes everything about how you see that $4.99 chicken. Today, we're exposing the hidden costs behind 6 meats you should avoid at Costco and showing you exactly how to beat their system. The bacon that disappears before your eyes. Kirkland bacon flies off shelves for $17, promising nearly 4 pounds of breakfast glory. Bring it home, though, and watch the magic trick happen. Half that weight vanishes into sizzling grease, leaving you with maybe 1.5 pounds of actual food. You're not saving money, you're paying premium prices for rendered fat that hits the drain. Customer complaints flooding Reddit since early 2025 describe something far worse. Bacon, so paper-thin, it disintegrates between your fingers like cobwebs. One shopper reported buying 4 batches across 3 months, each pack tearing apart despite careful handling. Another discovered both super-thin strips and jerky-thick pieces in the same package. Quality control so inconsistent, it can't be accidental. This isn't just poor manufacturing, it's deliberate inconsistency designed to frustrate you just enough that you stop comparing prices. The ingredient list reveals why this bacon behaves strangely. Sodium nitrite, sugar, and preservatives create that artificial pink color and long shelf life, but they also mask the truth about what you're actually eating. Smithfield, the suspected supplier, processes these hogs in industrial facilities where antibiotics flow freely. Costco only recently tightened standards after years of pressure. That bacon isn't just thin, it's potentially carrying residues that contribute to antibiotic resistance, a crisis projected to kill 10 million people annually by 2050. Here's what those additives actually do to your body. Sodium nitrite preserves color, but also oxidizes in your stomach, creating compounds linked to increased cancer risk when consumed regularly. The sugar and high sodium combination triggers water retention and bloating, making you crave more salt and causing an endless cycle of dehydration and electrolyte imbalance. People switching to carnivore diets often complain about energy crashes in the first few weeks. Costco bacon loaded with sugar is precisely why. Your body gets a quick spike of energy followed by a crash that leaves you reaching for more processed food within hours. Making your own changes everything. A whole pork belly from Costco's fresh counter runs $4 to $5 per pound, half the effective price of that shrinking packaged stuff. Salt it yourself, control the smoke, and you get real meat without the chemical cocktail. The difference isn't subtle, it's the gap between food and factory product. Once you've had bacon, you cured and smoked yourself, that packaged version tastes like eating salt-cured rubber. The $20 ice cube masquerading as shrimp? Those elegant shrimp trays look restaurant quality, arranged in perfect circles with that red sauce in the center. At $19, they seem convenient for parties. But a class action lawsuit filed in Manhattan federal court exposed what's really happening. Customers pay for ounces of ice glaze that never melt into edible meat. The math reveals the theft. Pre-cooked shrimp cocktail costs $13 to $14 per pound of actual seafood, while raw frozen shrimp in the next freezer sells for $10 per pound. You're paying a 30% markup to avoid 3 minutes of boiling water. But the weight fraud runs deeper. Plaintiffs allege each tray falls 3 or more ounces short of its advertised net weight, cheating buyers out of up to $1.86 per purchase. Multiply that by the estimated 21 million trays sold annually, and we're talking tens of millions in pure profit from thin air. Think about what that means. If Costco shaves just 1 ounce of actual shrimp off each tray and replaces it with ice glaze, they're generating approximately $40 million annually in stolen weight. That's not an accident in a supply chain, that's a deliberate profit mechanism. When you hold that tray and it feels heavy, you're literally holding frozen water, charging you meat prices. Quality deteriorates with every freeze-thaw cycle. These crustaceans travel from Asian farms in Vietnam and Thailand, get cooked, frozen, shipped, thawed for display, and sit under lights until someone buys them. Each step strips away sweetness and texture, leaving that powdery, fishy taste Reddit users complain about. The cocktail sauce packs enough sugar and corn syrup to blow a keto diet in one spoonful. Preservatives disguised as convenience. Worse still, those Asian farms operate with minimal oversight. Antibiotics and industrial feed keep the shrimp alive in crowded conditions, creating perfect conditions for resistant bacteria. Costco's own antibiotic policy only became mandatory in 2020, and enforcement remains questionable across international supply chains. You're eating shrimp that spent their lives crammed into tanks with hundreds of thousands of other shrimp, kept alive through chemical intervention rather than natural health. Raw, frozen, wild-caught shrimp costs less, tastes better, and gives you complete control. 2 minutes in boiling water, an ice bath shock, and you have restaurant-quality seafood without the hidden markup or chemical residues. That red color in the tray, it's not freshness, it's processing. Real shrimp boiled at home turns bright red naturally through protein denaturation, but Costco's pre-cooked shrimp has already done that process, then sat under lights for hours getting air oxidized. The $4.99 chicken in its dark secrets Costco loses money on every rotisserie chicken, and they designed it that way. That $4.99 price tag hasn't changed since 2009, functioning as a loss leader that pulls you deeper into the store past televisions and toilet paper you'll inevitably add to your cart. The strategy works brilliantly. Shoppers spend approximately $1.75 for every minute inside those warehouses. The chicken isn't the product. You are. A 2025 lawsuit filed in Seattle court dragged horrifying conditions into public view. Plaintiffs allege Costco illegally neglects and abandons its chickens in Iowa and Nebraska breeding facilities where birds grow so rapidly they become disabled and die prematurely. Workers reportedly treat carcasses with chlorine or other chemicals, then inject sodium phosphate and carrageenan to maintain that juicy appearance all day under heat lamps. The ingredient list confirms it. This isn't just chicken and salt. Sugar, cornstarch, natural flavors, and preservatives create an addictive taste profile that masks the underlying quality issues. Those chickens sit for hours, sometimes all day, drying out under intense heat. The skin wrinkles, breast meat turns stringy, and thighs develop that mushy texture customers complain about on social media. Yet the smell, engineered through additives and caramelized sugars, keeps you reaching for that foil tray. You're not smelling actual roasted chicken, you're smelling a carefully formulated aroma designed by food scientists to trigger emotional responses. The sodium content alone shocks nutritionists. One bird contains more than a day's recommended intake, potentially spiking blood pressure and causing water retention. For keto dieters or clean eaters, the hidden carbs from injected starches sabotage meticulous macro tracking. You think you're eating pure protein, but you're consuming a starch-injected product that triggers insulin responses similar to eating a bowl of rice. That's why people report energy crashes and bloating after eating Costco rotisserie chicken, despite it being nominally all protein. Roasting at home costs roughly the same when you factor in the actual meat yield. A raw chicken, lemon, butter, and salt creates authentic flavor without the ethical baggage or health compromises. The difference between real roast chicken and Costco's version is the gap between home cooking and industrial food science. One tastes like food, the other tastes like engineered meat product. Chuck Roast, the $100 mistake. Chuck Roast looks like the budget hero, big, beefy, and affordable. But here's what most shoppers miss. That pre-cut, shrink-wrapped package costs $12 per pound, while the whole chuck roll sits right next to it for $7 to $8 per pound. Buying pre-cut literally doubles your price for the exact same meat. The deception runs deeper than pricing. Those pre-cut pieces oxidize faster, turning darker and drier as they sit in foam trays. The whole roll stays vacuum sealed, preserving moisture and that bright red color that indicates freshness. But the real scandal hides inside that giant shoulder, something Costco hopes you never discover. Cut it yourself and you'll find the Denver steak, a tender marble gem that restaurants sell for $30 per pound. And it's essentially free when you buy the whole roll, which averages 20 pounds. That $5 per pound savings on a single purchase puts an extra $100 in your pocket. Yet most customers pay the premium for convenience, never knowing they're throwing away premium cuts. Imagine buying a whole ribeye and tossing half of it in the garbage. That's what people do when they buy pre-cut chuck roast. The fat you trim isn't waste, it's culinary gold. Render it down for beef tallow, which sells separately for $4 per pound and makes the best roasted potatoes you'll ever taste. Pre-cut buyers toss this valuable byproduct in the trash, literally throwing money away. Beef tallow has a higher smoke point than butter or most oils, creating crispier roasted vegetables and French fries that actually taste like they should. Slicing a whole chuck roll takes 10 minutes with a sharp knife. Portion it into stew meat steaks and stir-fry strips, then freeze what you won't use immediately. The quality difference is immediate. The meat stays tender, cooks evenly, and develops richer flavor because it hasn't been sitting in plastic for days. Pre-cut meat begins oxidizing the moment it's exposed to air. That browning you see in foam trays, that's oxidation destroying flavor compounds. The cost breakdown is staggering. Buy pre-cut at $12 per pound for a 20-pound roast and you're spending $240. Buy the whole roast at $7 per pound and you're spending $140. That's a $100 difference on a single purchase. If you buy chuck roast once per month, you're saving $1,200 annually just by wielding a knife for 10 minutes. Filet mignon, the luxury taxed tenderloin, represents the pinnacle of beef. Melting texture, delicate flavor, and a price tag to match. Costco's pre-cut filet mignon sells for nearly $28 per pound in those elegant foam trays. The whole tenderloin? $19 to $20 per pound, meaning you pay an $8 to $10 per pound premium for someone else to slice it. That markup buys you more than convenience, it guarantees older meat. Once cut, filets oxidize immediately, losing moisture and developing that darker, less appealing color. The whole loin stays sealed, maintaining its bright hue and silky texture. When you sear a home-cut filet against a pre-packaged one, the difference jumps off the plate. One tastes like restaurant quality, the other like decent supermarket steak. The flexibility matters too. Want 2-inch thick portions for special occasions? 1 inch for quick weeknight dinners? You control the cut. The narrow tail end trimmed off and discarded in packaged versions becomes perfect for beef stroganoff or cold salads. Nothing wasted, everything optimized. Restaurant chefs have been using this exact strategy for decades. They buy whole tenderloins and portion them according to specific needs. That's why restaurant filet tastes better than grocery store filet. They're not buying pre-cut products that have been sitting around. Trimmed silver skin and fat render into incredible sauce base. Simmer those scraps low and slow, strain the liquid, and you have concentrated beef essence that transforms pan sauces without flour or artificial enhancers. Pre-cut buyers never experience this depth of flavor. You're literally throwing away the foundation of every expensive restaurant's signature sauce. A 6-pound whole tenderloin saves you $48 to $60 versus buying pre-cut. That's not pocket change. That's a dinner out, a week of groceries, or a fancy wine to pair with your perfectly cooked steaks. The convenience tax robs you blind while convincing you it's a fair trade. Ribeye, where fat equals money. Ribeye's fat marbling makes it the king of steaks, rich, tender, and impossible to resist. Costco knows this, which is why they mark up pre-cut ribeyes by nearly $4 per pound over the whole roast. On a typical 16-pound loin, that's $64 in pure profit for a few minutes of slicing. The whole ribeye roast hides another secret in its fat cap. That white layer most people trim and toss? It's beef tallow waiting to happen. Liquid gold worth $4 per pound that transforms roasted vegetables and fried eggs. Costco customers throw away hundreds of dollars annually in discarded fat, never realizing its value. That fat cap represents maybe 2 pounds of pure tallow potential per roast. At $4 per pound, that's $8 in value that hits your trash can. Pre-cut steaks suffer the same oxidation problem as other packaged meats. Surfaces dry out, colors darken, and that fresh beef sweetness fades. The whole loin stays sealed until you're ready, preserving every bit of flavor and moisture. Cut it yourself, and you get restaurant-quality results at wholesale prices. More importantly, you control freshness. If you cut a steak and grill it within 2 hours, it hasn't oxidized. If you buy pre-cut and cook it 3 days later, oxidation has destroyed surface quality regardless of how it was packaged. The ribeye cap, spinalis dorsi, represents the cow's finest muscle. Butchers call it butcher's butter because it's the fattiest, most flavorful section. Pre-cut trays randomize these pieces, mixing cap sections with center cuts and tail ends. Buying whole lets you separate this delicacy and cook it properly, experiencing steak perfection that costs $50 per plate in high-end restaurants. The electrolyte crisis, No one warns you about transitioning to carnivore or keto exposes a hidden problem that sends people running back to carbs. That fatigue, dizziness, and brain fog, it's not lack of energy, it's electrolyte collapse. Cutting carbohydrates flushes sodium, potassium, and magnesium from your system, minerals critical for muscle function, hormone balance, and fluid regulation. Most new meat eaters undersalt their food, terrified of sodium they've been told causes heart disease. The result? Headaches, cramps, and exhaustion that feel like the diet is failing. The fix is simple: season heavier, add mineral salt to water, and prioritize pink Himalayan or sea salt over refined table salt. Those natural versions contain trace minerals that support the very processes meat-heavy eating optimizes. Processed meats sabotage this balance further. Costco's pre-seasoned options, bacon, rotisserie chicken, even some beef products, hide sugar, starches, and preservatives that spike insulin and deplete minerals faster. The clean meat is often the plainest, least convenient option. Your body feels the difference within days when you switch from packaged to fresh, from processed to whole. The mineral content matters as much as the sodium. Pink Himalayan salt contains about 84 trace minerals compared to table salt's 0. The difference in how you feel after a week of switching is dramatic. Beating the system, your new shopping strategy. Costco's meat counter operates on one principle: convenience sells and markup hides in plain sight. Every pre-cut, pre-seasoned, pre-cooked item carries a hidden tax. Sometimes on price, sometimes on quality, sometimes on your health. The antibiotic residues, the chlorine washes, the weight fraud, the oxidized surfaces, all engineered to maximize profit while you focus on that enticing per-pound number. Real savings come from knowledge, not discounts. Buy whole cuts and slice them yourself. Choose raw over cooked, select plain over seasoned. Render your own fat into tallow. These skills take minutes to learn, but save hundreds per trip while delivering superior nutrition and flavor. Your new strategy starts before you enter Costco. Make a list of whole cuts, whole ribeye roast, whole chuck roll, whole tenderloin, raw chicken, whole pork belly. Skip the foam trays entirely. Walk straight to the butcher counter and ask for whole cuts. If they don't have them, ask when they'll be available. Most Costco locations receive new meat inventory Thursday through Sunday. Plan your shopping accordingly. Once you get home, dedicate 30 minutes to breaking down your purchases. Organize your cutting board and sharpen your knife. A sharp knife is essential for clean cuts that preserve quality. Work through each cut methodically, separating premium sections from stew meat, trimming fat into a collection container for rendering. Portion everything into meal-sized packages and freeze. Label with the cut name and date. This organization means you can grab exactly what you need for any meal without thawing an entire roast. Rendering tallow is ridiculously simple. Collect all your beef fat trimmings in a sealed container in your freezer. When you've accumulated enough, place the fat in a heavy-bottom pot on very low heat. Let it melt slowly over 2 to 3 hours, stirring occasionally. Small pieces will brown and sink to the bottom. That's rendered beef cracklings, incredibly flavorful for snacking or crumbling over salads. Strain the liquid fat through cheesecloth into a glass jar. It solidifies at room temperature into pure tallow that lasts months in your freezer. The real cost of convenience. The controversies swirling around Costco's meat operations, lawsuits over chicken neglect, FDA warnings about short waiting, and customer revolts over bacon quality signal that change is coming. But until transparency becomes policy, the smartest shoppers work around the system rather than within it. Your wallet, your health, and your taste buds will know the difference immediately. Think about what you're actually paying when you buy pre-cut meat. You're paying for packaging, labor, oxygen absorbers, preservatives, marketing, and the inevitable shrinkage from oxidation and moisture loss. The actual meat cost is maybe half the price you pay. When you buy whole cuts, you're paying only for the actual product. That's the fundamental difference. Next time you walk past those gleaming cases, remember, the aroma is engineered, the price is bait, and the real quality hides in the whole cuts most customers ignore. Master that, and you beat Costco at their own game. The financial impact over a year is staggering. We're talking potentially thousands of dollars in savings while simultaneously eating better quality food that actually tastes like real meat instead of processed imitation. And this knowledge transforms how you shop forever. You'll stop seeing those foam trays as convenient solutions and start seeing them as expensive traps. You'll develop the confidence to buy whole cuts and portion them yourself. Your freezer will become organized and efficient instead of chaotic. Most importantly, the food you eat will be genuinely better, and you'll know exactly where it came from and how it was handled. Subscribe for more insider information about retail, food production, and the secrets corporations don't want you discovering.